Welcome to another episode of Office Hours, the recap, where we go a little deeper into the discussion that we had in our Discord room over on chatbotbuilder.ai. Let's get started.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping straight into something pretty fascinating, the evolution of custom AI tools.
Yeah, it's moving fast.
We've got some really good material here. Notes from a CBB Nation Office Hours session, April 30th, 2025.
Right, so we're looking at new platforms like PayMeGPT and how they sit alongside existing ones like Chatbot Builder, CBB.
Exactly. And the goal really is to unpack what this means for creators, for businesses. What can you actually do with this stuff?
So if you ever had an idea for a helpful AI, maybe something to make a task easier, and wondered, how do I actually build that or even sell it?
Or how businesses are using AI right now for content or getting leads.
Yeah, this deep dive should give you some solid insights. We'll look at the differences, some cool use cases, and even some bigger picture stuff.
Okay, let's get into it. The big headline seems to be PayMeGPT. It's launching soon.
Looks like it. And the core idea is, well, it's right there in the name. It's about monetizing custom GPTs directly.
So you build something useful, a specific AI tool.
Yeah, something that solves a problem well, maybe based on a really effective prompt you've figured out.
And you can sell access.
Yeah.
Like a subscription or maybe a one-off fee.
Exactly. Think of it like packaging your prompting skills into a product people can buy. The notes suggest it's ideal for simpler tools, repeatable tasks, consistent outputs.
Well, yeah, simpler tools. Makes sense.
And creators get control, apparently. Things like setting message limits per user, per subscription, which you'd need, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Manage usage. What about the platform itself?
Early reports say it's got a clean interface, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And useful analytics, even things like seeing where your users are coming from geographically.
Oh, interesting. Okay, but here's the key thing, right? How does this fit with Chatbot Builder, with CBB? Is PayMeGPT replacing it?
No, definitely not. That's crucial. They serve different purposes, really.
So PayMeGPT is more for standalone tools.
Pretty much. Tools that work well based on the prompt itself maybe don't need lots of external connections. You're selling the prompt's power, essentially.
Whereas CBB, that's always been about the integrations, the complex flows.
Precisely. CBB is built for connecting to other systems, APIs, databases, CRMs, all that stuff, enabling those multi-step automations.
Gotcha. So like an analogy, PayMeGPT is maybe like hiring a specific expert for one task.
Yeah, a highly skilled specialist for a defined job.
And CBB is more like assembling a whole team. Specialists working together on a bigger, more complex project that involves lots of different parts talking to each other.
That's a really good way to think about it. One's the expert, the other's the integrated team.
Okay, that clarifies things a lot.
And something that got mentioned, which sounds potentially huge, this idea of a golden feature down the line.
Oh, what's that?
The potential to maybe embed a PayMeGPT tool, like a widget, that could actually trigger a complex CBB workflow.
Whoa, okay,
Well,
so you could sell access to the simple front-end tool.
And behind the scenes, it kicks off a whole sophisticated automation built in CBB. That could be incredibly powerful.
Yeah, I can see that. Let's make this concrete, though. Examples.
Okay, so the notes mention Benny the blogger. Sounds like a classic PayMeGPT use case.
Right, a content assistant.
Yeah, preloaded with a specific brand voice, formatting rules. You feed it a topic, it generates a blog post in the right style. Simple input, valuable output.
Perfect for PayMeGPT. Standalone. Does one thing well.
Exactly. Now contrast that with, say, an automated lead generation system.
Okay, that sounds more complex.
Definitely CBB territory. It wouldn't just be one prompt. It involved qualifying the lead based on their answers.
Capturing their details.
Right. And then automatically sending that data to a CRM, maybe triggering follow-up emails. That needs those external connections CBB provides.
Okay, see the difference. And there was another one mentioned.
It's IUL checker, indexed universal life insurance policy analysis. Sounds specialized, probably takes specific inputs, does an analysis. Another good potential fit for PayMeGPT.
So if you're listening thinking, okay, I have an idea. What kinds of things were people brainstorming in that CBB session? What makes a GPT potentially sellable?
Well, they threw out quite a few ideas. Things like Tools for dental practices,
Like what?
analyzing competitors, maybe summarizing patient info quickly, stuff that saves dentists or their staff time on manual tasks. You can see why they'd pay for that, right? Save hours of research.
Yeah. Time is money, especially in practice. What else?
Personalized meal planning was one. You tell it what ingredients you have, it spits out recipes.
I could see people paying for that. Saves food waste easier than scrolling endlessly.
Educational aids came up too. Study tools that adapt to how you learn best. Customized learning.
Financial tools, like that IUL checker. Anything niche and analytical seems like a good candidate.
Definitely. And content assistance, like we said with Benny the Blogger, but maybe tailored to very specific industry guidelines or formats.
Or lead generation tools, qualifying prospects maybe, though that starts to edge towards CBD depending on complexity.
Right. Depends how much integration you need. But the core takeaways seem to be find a task that's tedious, complex, or requires fiddly prompting in regular Chat GPT right now.
And wrap it up in an easy-to-use GPT on PayMeGPT. Make it simple for the user.
Exactly. Encapsulate that workflow. Solve a specific pain point.
And the strategic advice was key too, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Focus on problems you actually understand deeply and audiences you know how to reach. Don't just chase the latest AI buzzword.
Build something for a niche you get. Makes sense. Now looking ahead, CBB 2.0 is mentioned, a new flow builder.
Yeah, sounds like a major revamp is coming. More intuitive design, hopefully.
And there was some speculation about how it might work.
A bit. The idea floated was that maybe the new system relies more heavily on, well, good prompting.
Oh, interesting. So instead of connecting lots of visual nodes for simple tasks,
You might just write a really effective prompt within a single node to achieve the same thing. Could streamline development.
but it also means
Prompt engineering skills become even more critical. Your ability to instruct the AI clearly is paramount.
and who gets access first?
Sounds like agencies, white label clients, they'll likely get priority access to CBB 2.0.
Okay. And briefly, nano LLMs were mentioned, smaller language model.
Yeah, the potential for using faster, maybe cheaper LLMs like Nano if those become more widespread.
It could make running these AI tools less expensive, maybe faster too.
Could do, yeah. Makes them potentially more accessible across the board.
Now, this next bit was really interesting, shifting gears to why people buy things. Marketing psychology.
Yeah, because building a great tool isn't enough, is it? You need people to actually pay for it.
They use examples like pizza chains, coffee shops.
Right, to illustrate different motivations. You've got price sensitivity. Some people just want the cheapest pizza, end of story. Little Caesars versus, I don't know, a fancy artisan place.
Then there's brand loyalty, people who always buy Starbucks or always go to Domino's because they trust it.
Exactly. Perceived quality, status. Maybe that local coffee shop feels more authentic or higher quality. Relationships matter too. Maybe you know the owner.
And the point was,
What works for one audience doesn't necessarily work for another. You need to understand your specific customer. What do they truly value?
are you selling based on being the cheapest or based on quality, trust, a specific feature they can't get elsewhere?
It's a fundamental question for anyone building and selling these tools. Are you competing on cost or building a premium brand? That decision impacts everything.
Very true. The session also touched on something more philosophical, the AI black box.
Yeah, this idea that we use these incredibly powerful large language models effectively.
That we don't fully understand their internal workings, how they get from A to B.
An analogy was used comparing it to, like, growing plants.
Growing plants, how so?
Well, you can be a great gardener, right? You know how to cultivate plants, give them what they need, get amazing results.
Without necessarily knowing every single biochemical process happening inside the plant.
Exactly. You know how to work with the system effectively. The notes mention an Anthropic article using that same analogy.
So what are the implications for AI?
It raises questions, doesn't it? About safety, predictability, responsibility. How do we use these powerful tools wisely, even if we don't understand every nut and bolt inside?
It prompts deeper reflection on the human side of things, how we implement this tech.
For sure. Okay, switching back to practicalities. Best practices for builders. Organization came up strong.
Oh yeah, keeping track of everything.
Yeah.
API keys, logins, credentials.
It sounds basic, but it's crucial. They even had a real-time example, didn't they?
Yeah, someone troubleshooting a voice bot integration. Twilio, audio codes.
Right. And it just highlighted how quickly things get tangled when you connect different services. If your keys and settings aren't meticulously organized, well, good luck fixing it quickly.
So lesson learned, documentation is your friend, big time.
Absolutely. And alongside that, mastering prompt engineering. We keep coming back to it.
It's fundamental, isn't it? Whether it's a simple PayMeGPT tool or a complex CBB flow.
Your ability to give clear, effective instructions to the AI is key. It's not just asking questions, it's crafting them precisely.
And knowing your tools, obviously. PayMeGPT for this, CBB for that. Understanding the strengths and weaknesses.
Choosing the right platform for the job. I'm thinking about entry points. How do people start using your bot? QR code, link, website embed.
Planning that user journey from the start.
And finally, testing. Test, test, test. Especially after you make changes or add integrations. Don't assume it works. Verify.
Okay, so boiling this all down for you, the listener, what are the actionable takeaways?
Well, first, start thinking. Are there simple, valuable tasks you do or know others struggle with that could become a PayMeGPT? Something repeatable.
Yeah, brainstorm those pain points and then decide. Is your idea better suited for that standalone PayMeGPT model, or does it need the integrations and complexity of CBB?
Be honest about the scope. Don't try to force a CBB level idea into PayMeGPT, or vice versa.
And practically, if you're building anything with AI, get organized. Seriously. Your future self will thank you when you need that API key from 3 months ago.
Definitely. Keep honing those prompt engineering skills. Practice writing clear instructions for AI. It's a core competency now.
And finally, really dig deep into understanding your target audience. Who are they? What actually motivates them to choose one tool over another? What do they value most?
It's not just about the tech anymore, is it? It's about the user, the market, the value proposition, that whole picture.
So recapping our deep dive, we've looked at PayMeGPT, this new avenue for potentially monetizing AI skills directly.
Clarified how it sits alongside the more complex automation power of Chatbot Builder. There are different tools for different jobs.
We brainstormed some potential use cases, from content creation to niche analysis.
Touched on strategy, the importance of knowing your audience, understanding buyer psychology.
And even the bigger picture, that black box idea
Yeah.
and the need for thoughtful implementation.
The recurring themes. Know your audience, choose the right tool, and get really good at talking to AI prompt engineering.
So here's something to leave you with. As platforms like PayMeGPT make it easier for anyone to create and potentially sell AI tools, how does that change things?
Yeah, what happens when the barrier to entry for creating niche specialized AI assistants gets really low?
What kinds of super specific tools might we see pop up? AI for knitting pattern adjustments, AI for identifying rare bird calls.
Could be anything. And how do businesses and individuals adapt to that? Does expertise itself change?
It's a fascinating space to watch. It really makes you think about, the future of work, the value of knowledge, and just how deeply AI is going to be woven into our daily lives. Lots to chew on there.
That wraps up another discussion on the office hours recap. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And as always, come on over and join us in the Discord room every week live at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. See you next week.